Hey, how's it going? We're going to take a look at a song today called At the Hop by Danny and the Juniors. It's a really fun piece. It was done in the late 50s and it has a lot of the elements of that 1950s piano. So it's got a lot of the licks that I think if you learn in a song like this, it transfers and maps over to a lot of the other songs that you can play, even contemporary tunes. So I've done an arrangement here that carries the melody of the singing. So you don't have to sing over this. You can just listen to the melody through the song. Or you can sing it over it if you like, that's not a problem, or you can kind of mute it down if you wanted to do that. I put the arrangement in the key of G, and I think the original is something like a flatted A when I listen to it, honestly. So it's not far off that way. The song really flies. You could set a metronome around 94-ish if you want to do some practicing there. And just an apology, whenever I do these videos, of course, I use my kid's cheap Casio, and so it kind of clicks when I play. The keys are kind of loud, so just try to ignore that. But that said, there's a number of guys out there who have had pretty good careers using cheap Casios. In fact, I think Wesley Willis comes to mind. Back in the day, he used to swing by the Elma Combo and Silver Dollar, and you know, they're interesting shows actually. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, so let me play the piece first and then we'll break it down. Okay, so that's what we'll play. Okay, so when we look at the introduction to the song, we play this pattern in the left hand. All right, and that pattern is G, B, D, and E. E is the sixth. Back in the day, they would often go to the seventh. I think Jerry Lee Lewis popularized just stopping at the sixth and dropping back. You'll hear that in A Whole Lot of Shaking and some other tunes. In the right hand, it's just the G chord, G, B, and D, but we play a lot of them and we play them very quickly. Okay, and when we get to that point, then the backup singers come in. So they'll have the All right, so let's move into that part. And then that goes down to E minor. But let's just look at what we're doing there first. So the pattern is the same essential pattern, but we're adding the octave G here. And so on, okay? In the right hand, root G chord, but then we move into the inversions for each of the four singers. One is in root G, first in version here by just swinging the G up, and then second inversion starting with the D, the G and the B, and then back to the root. And so those are your four singers. And then they go down to E minor, down to C, and then to D. However, on D, I don't go back to the root. I hang my fourth finger on this F sharp, and it's a leading tone. It brings you back to the root there. Okay, so make sure you leave space for that. The inversions in C would be done the same way. Start with a C, swing the C to the octave, and same thing in D, all right, and so on. So it sounds very musical, it's very regal, it gives the singers all of their glory, and then after that, we come in with the singing. You can rock it, you can roll it, you can stop and you can stall it. Okay, so we'll get into that next now, okay? Okay, so we come out of the introduction. And that's where the singing is going on. There's our old friend again, G, B, D, E, G, B, D, E. Up here, it's a G chord, but it's the first inversion. So instead of root G, note that there's a little bit of an offbeat, right? So we come in on the offbeat with the right hand. And again, I throw in the leading note on the A sharp up here, and then it moves to C. Okay, and then it will be back to G. And so with the inversions, note that I can easily swing between the first inversion of G to a C and back to the G, rather than having to move like that. That's why learning the inversions is pretty key. Okay, and then after that we hear the singers come in, ah, at the hop. Bring the melody in, E to C at the hop. Okay, so let's just go through that once more. That is the D, then to the C, and back to the G. Okay, this is typically the 1-4-5 progression. You see it all the time in 50s, 60s music. Even today, you'll still encounter it. Very popular. It's sort of the basis of rock and roll in a lot of ways. Okay, and again, leading tone. All right, now after this, they come in with the chorus. Let's go to the hop, bump, 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 bump. Okay, so now we'll look at that. Okay, so now we're into the leading tone here that takes us into the chorus. Let's go to the hop. Okay, so we come into that. And then we'll move to C. And we'll get to that in a second. First off, same rhythm in the left hand. G, B, D, and E, our good old friend. Up in the right hand, B and go into the A sharp. Let's go to the hop. And then I go into, again, the G chord for a little more fullness here. Full G chord, except it's the first inversion again. So B, D, and the G's up here. All right, let's go to, just walk that down. And then we'll move to C. Okay, so now it's the same. And then back to the G. And we'll end with our usual ah, and then down to C. Okay, now let's try to put that together again here. So okay, and then into ah at the hop. Okay, that's essentially the song, and then it repeats. You just use all those parts again, assemble them as the tune is structuring them out, and it will sound really good. Okay, so there is a solo in the tune as well. I haven't spent a lot of time, but if anybody was interested in trying to put some ideas together on that, then I'll offer one. It seems that if you were to throw in perhaps the minor third and the sixth here, the tune makes good use of the sixth. We see that popping up in our bass line all the time. Maybe something like this sounds okay. It'll be again a 1-4-5 progression. Maybe something like that. And then you'd move into the C. And then back. And then into the D. Something like that might actually sound pretty nice. It lets the piano step out, and you can throw in our usual bass line. It doesn't have to be too complicated. So that might be one of the ideas that works well in solo. I'll let you guys figure out what else you might like to do, because that's the part where you can kind of free form it and throw in all of your own creative ideas. Okay, so we'll wrap it up at that. Hope you had a good time. Good playing.